Jesus is not what we call mincing words, is it? He's really going after them. You hypocrites. You know how to interpret things that will benefit you. So if you're a sailor, you know how to look at the wind in the sky and decide if there's going to be a storm or not. If you're a farmer, you know what to do and when to plant. If you and then extend it out. If it has to do with your advantage, you're very good at it. To interpret what you need to do is to your advantage. Why can't you do that for other things as well that God wants you to do? And so what I want you to think about today, and it happens with all of us, myself included, I want you to think about today the gap between knowing what we are to do and actually putting it into practice. The gap between knowing and doing it. Like, we know what's right. We know how to act in class. But sometimes there's a gap between knowing that and acting right in class. We know we're not supposed to lie. But then something happens, and either out of fear or trying to get out of punishment or worrying about something, we end up lying. There's that gap. We know we're not supposed to use language that demeans anyone, that puts people down. Yet we get around our friends, and our friends start to use some of that language, and we end up diving right into it ourselves. We know the rules of the house that mom and dad have put together. That have to do with use of phones and how much time you can be on social media and computers and things like that, all that kind of good stuff. And then we try to sneak a little bit of extra time. There's something in our human nature that is sometimes a struggle to bridge that gap between knowing what is right and doing what is right. But it's precisely people and then the community of people who bridge that gap, who are able to not only know what is right, but do what is right, who makes all the difference in the world. That's what it means to be a disciple of Jesus. It's not just that we have to learn about Jesus and what he wants of us, but it's not just about learning, it's not just about knowing. A disciple is able to put it into practice. And we're able to put it into practice, ultimately, this is more aimed at the older half of the school than the younger at this point. We're able to put it in practice, not because we're going to be rewarded, not because we're going to get a little extra something, not because we're going to be punished if we don't do it. We're able to put it in practice because from our heart, from the depth of who we are, we know it's what we need to do, and it's who we are. We do it because it is us. And if someone else does something different that's wrong, it doesn't make us wrong. It doesn't keep us from doing what is right. That is what a disciple is able to do. And so, all that we do in terms of learning about God and learning about what the Lord wants us to do, all the ways in which you're invited, we're all invited to pray in our lives, to take time in prayer, to seek God's way and seek God's will. All of that is aimed so that that gap between knowing and doing can be bridged, so there are people in this world, because look around the world. I mean, adults aren't very good at this. I mean, look at all the politicians that have ads on TV now. Almost all of them are negative, right? They know that you don't get to distort the truth like that. They know they're distorting the truth, but they're doing it anyway because they're afraid of losing their race. I mean, we're in a world that thinks that you have to kill in order to protect yourself. We're in a world that thinks that by demeaning a whole group of people, that somehow makes us better. So we're in a world that's not very good at this. So there needs to be people who really understand what it means to put into practice what is right, not just know what is right. It's easy to tell someone what is right. It's easy in the sense to know what is right. It becomes a lot harder to put that into practice. And it starts just in little ways. It starts in the morning when you get up and you're not in a good mood. Your mom or dad asks you to do something, and instead of sassing them, you say, wait a minute, I don't need to do that. Or they put an extra burden on you with your little brother or sister, and you think, well, why do I have to always do that? They're old enough now to do it themselves. You do it anyway. it starts in the classroom and free time and so forth, where you begin to, people begin to use language and pick on people, or try to isolate people, or try to say things that, language about people. And you don't, not only don't give into it, you stand up for what is right. And then, if we do that and build that into our lives, when it really comes to push and shove, and there will be times when it will happen, when it really comes to push and shove, we'll be able to stand up for what is right and do what is right, even if everyone around us is not doing it. We will be able to do it because we practice that. We know that that's what it means to be a disciple. We're so good at, when it has to do with our advantage, of not just telling people what's to our advantage, but making sure it happens. But let's get good at it in all situations. When it's not always that easy to do the right thing. Let's learn to do that again and again. Let's practice that. Let's bridge that gap.